Week 1 of the NFL is done. Now we're on to Week 2. Today I just thought I'd discuss who are the big fantasy players in Week 1. Do I see them continuing, doing well the rest of the season, and as well as the busts of Week 1. Who they were, and do I expect them to continue this throughout the season or not? Let's just get right into it. So here were the big-time fantasy players this weekend. The list includes Davante Adams, Adam Thielen, Josh Jacobs, Russell Wilson, Calvin Ridley, Dallas Goedert. Some of those guys were you'd expect them to be like that. Some of them, like Dallas Goedert, was a complete surprise. Even Russell Wilson, I didn't expect him to throw like 3 touchdowns in the first half. So for me, a lot of these guys are going to continue to do this, especially in the next coming weeks. All these guys have this potential for big plays. Davante Adams, go-to guy for Aaron Rodgers, easy. He's going to be good the whole season. Adam Thielen is their go-to guy. Nobody else stepped up besides Dalvin Cook, and he didn't really do anything. He's their go-to guy on the team. That's going to bring up problems later in terms of when they face better defenses. He's a fantasy starter. Russell Wilson, again, 4 touchdowns. He had like 300 yards. I think he was 31 for 34 on passing, so he had a great day against the Falcons. I expect him to do well, although he does play the New England Patriots this weekend. So, to me, I'd probably bench him, but, I mean, you can always go for it. He's Russell Wilson. He could get you like 17 points. But if you have a better start, then I'd probably start them against a tough Patriots defense. Next, Josh Jacobs went off against the Carolina Panthers. It was crazy how good he was. 3 touchdowns. I want to say over 120 yards. I don't know if he caught any receptions. I'm sure he did. But 3 touchdowns is huge. Josh Jacobs is definitely a guy who could do that, and obviously who proved he did it. So I will say I don't know that I expect him to do this all the time. He's going to go against some tougher defenses. I mean, just in his division, the Chargers are a really good defense. They held Joe Mixon to, I think, 60 yards. The Kansas City Chiefs, I don't think teams are going to be able to run a lot on them just because in order to keep up with the Chiefs, they're going to have to pass. So there's that for them. And then even though the Broncos allowed Derrick Henry 130 yards, I'm not going to lie, they look pretty good. So even without Von Miller out for the season, they did a good job of holding Derrick Henry until the last minute. So Josh Jacobs is going to have to play those guys. Obviously, some are tougher than others. This weekend, he's playing the Saints. I'd still start him, but to be honest, he's not going to do 3 touchdowns. The Saints didn't even allow the Buccaneers a rushing touchdown, besides Tom Brady. Otherwise, even with the Buccaneers guys that they had, they did nothing against the Saints defense. So just be aware of that. Calvin Ridley, this is supposed to be his breakout year. He obviously proved he is possibly the number 1 guy, Falcons wide receiver you should own. That's really hard to say when they have Julio, but you know, in terms of touchdown production, he is their touchdown guy. So Julio is not the touchdown guy. He's the go-to guy, whereas Calvin Ridley at this point is the other go-to guy on the team. So I'd keep starting Calvin Ridley. If he's in your flex play, that is a fantastic flex play throughout the rest of the season. Good for you. Dallas Goedert, he was a surprise to me. I thought Zach Ertz would get a lot more involved than he was. I mean, he still had a touchdown, but will this continue? I don't think so, but, you know, if the tight end does this well, it's a good sign. Plus, they have all this offensive weapon trouble on the Eagles, so they need all the help they can get. I don't expect him to do this well every week. 8 receptions, over 100 yards, and 2 touchdowns. I could see him maybe getting a touchdown like every other week, and then maybe like 50 yards, which is still startable. That's a very startable tight end position. So I told people to go pick him up. He's a good waiver wire pickup, and you should start him, especially in a deeper league. But is he going to be the tight end 1 forever? No, I expect Ertz to come back and do something, but he looked pretty good. He had a great connection with Carson Wentz, so that's a little scary. And then the other guy I had on my list was DeAndre Hopkins. Went 14 for 16 for 150 yards against the 49ers, which is a huge task already. I mean, a very good defense, one of the best in the league, and he just clobbered them in the second half. And they play Washington this week. I expect a similar result, mostly because that connection seemed legit. I actually have Kyler Murray and DeAndre Hopkins in a league, so I'm starting them. Don't be afraid to start them against an up-and-coming Washington team. I know it's hard to say, oh, Washington's a good team defensively. Well, yeah, they are. Even though the Eagles are bad, like, they have some good playmakers. So just look out for that defense. Wait next week. If they do well again, I would grab them and put them on your waiver wire. But as far as DeAndre Hopkins go, people are saying to sell him high right now. Like, if they're selling, you should buy him. I'm not saying sell McCaffrey for him, but, I was even thinking maybe do like Tyreek for DeAndre Hopkins, especially if you have Kyler Murray. You want that stacked duo. That's going to be legit. He's his go-to guy. I love that option. Moving on to the bust. I don't think this bust list is as one-dimensional as the big plays were. A lot of these big players in week 1, they're already studs. This is what you thought they would do anyway. So this is a bigger deal. First off on the list, Nick Chubb. I think he had 11 carries, which was behind Kareem Hunt, who had 13. I think he still averaged 6 yards a carry, which is crazy. But as far as his production later in the season, that's a little bit iffy. You don't. If you drafted Chubb in the second round, you'd be hesitant. I totally understand that. Now, the Ravens defense he went up against is pretty good. So just remember that. And secondly, Baker Mayfield sucks. So this is part of my plan, or my vision for Nick Chubb, was eventually they are going to start going all running backs, because if he's gaining 6 yards a carry, why are they not giving it to him? And why would they not just go to them more? It's a lethal duo. I think they should go run heavy all the time. I don't care if they're always on it. The Ravens defense was tough. The Cincinnati defense is not nearly as tough as the Ravens offense. If I were you, I would trade for Chubb right now. In the future, teams like the Steelers might have to sit him for somebody else, but I see him coming back. Mixon is a little different. He was given, I think, 19 carries. I think he had 40 or 50 yards rushing, which is not good. The Chargers had a great defense, so that speaks volumes to, like, he still did pretty decent, but, I'm not going to lie, I'm kind of worried about Joe Mixon, and if you have him, you might want to try and trade him for somebody else. Maybe try and trade him for Chubb, because honestly, I see him as the better option at this point, because he actually has an offensive line, and I think they're going to start going to them more. And, I wouldn't be surprised if they're going to start giving him like 15 carries. I know that was Chubb. We're on Mixon, but still, just be aware that, if you need a wide receiver and you have him as your third running back, maybe try and trade him for a wide receiver. Possibly like, I mean, am I being, this could be another episode, but like Darius Slayton for Joe Mixon, that's out there, but that might be worth it. That's going to be another day, but like, I do really like Slayton, and I'm not sure if Mixon can really do well on this poor of an offensive line, but they should get better. Hopefully they'll be throwing to him more. This is just week 1, so next, Keenan Allen. This was a very disappointing one for me. I thought he would be the one with the majority target share on the Chargers. Turns out it was actually Mike Williams and Hunter Henry. Those are the go-to Chargers for Tyrod right now. Eventually, I think Keenan Allen will get more involved. He caught all 4 targets he had in week 1, but, Tyrod, let's get the ball to your best player. And that best player is Keenan Allen. It was against the bad Cincinnati secondary. Let's go, Tyrod. Get your act together. Disappointing week 1 for him, but I actually see him doing better, especially this week. I'd actually start him unless you have a better player. I think Keenan Allen can do really well this week against, I forget who he's playing. Oh, the Chiefs. He's playing the Chiefs, so I actually think he could do really well against the Chiefs. Will Fuller had 8 for 10 for 100 yards. I think he could do something similar if Tyrod targets him. So Tyrod target him. Next, Drew Brees. Drew Brees didn't have that great of a day. It wasn't horrible, but I gotta say, without Michael Thomas for the next 3 weeks, I'm probably gonna sit Drew Brees. If you have a better quarterback, I would definitely start him. Say you have Cam Newton, I'd start Cam. If you have Josh Allen, start him. If you have Gardner Minshew, I might even start him over Drew Brees. That sounds crazy, I know. And Drew Brees still has Kamara, he still has Emmanuel Sanders, he has Jared Cook. But Michael Thomas is that go-to guy in the middle of the field, and he's not there right now for the next couple weeks. So I wouldn't start him, but later in the season, he'll do fine. Next, A.J. Brown, very disappointing week 1. I had him starting like 5 receptions for 38 yards against a Broncos defense, which honestly, their secondary isn't that bad, but it was just concerning how little he was looked to. Where he was so good last year, it's like, and he had such a good connection with Tannehill. I was really surprised. I was like, what was going on? I think this will get better as the season progresses. It did last year. They go against a decent secondary, which I didn't even realize was on the Broncos, but it's pretty decent. And the Titans are a run-first team, so that also makes sense. But it should improve for him. And in fact, this week they're playing the Jaguars, which he should go off. And apparently, Corey Davis, the guy who went off week 1, did not play or practice this week, so this just means more eyes on A.J. Brown. And also the fact that A.J. Brown, I think, was slightly injured coming into this, so maybe that was why his usage was so low. But if someone's selling, I'd buy A.J. Brown right now, so. But that's just me. I already talked about this a little bit. Michael Thomas, he had 4 receptions for 17 yards. Really bad day against the Buccaneers. It kind of just shows how good the Buccaneers defense was and maybe what the Saints planned for this game because they knew how good this team was. Hey, he's going to be fine the rest of the season. I mean, he's Michael Thomas, but he is injured for at least 3 games, so just know that. If you have a waiver wire addition, go pick up somebody like, and if Emmanuel Sanders is available, pick him up. If Tre'Quan Smith is available, pick him up. Otherwise, I'm just starting a good player off your bench. That was really my list. If you have any questions or comments or questions for this week, feel free to message me on my Twitter or Instagram at Bullseye Fantasy, and also give me a follow or subscribe to this YouTube channel, and I hope you enjoyed it. So, peace.